So Queen Victoria's Consort is a quartet or quintet usually, though plans are afoot to try and do something with a larger group of like-minded people. I think is the most important thing to say, like myself, who want to get the sounds and the sights. Let's not forget these instruments are sculptural and quite beautiful to look at as well, of these instruments into the public domain. We talked when I formed the group. I literally just spoke to the people who I knew I loved their playing and I knew I loved their company. So that was how it formed. There was no hardship in bringing those wonderful people together. And myself, Robert Van Ryn, and Tim Hawes on cornets, Susan Addison on trombone, and Jeremy West, who is one of the leading lights in the world of cornet, forming His Majesty sackbuts and cornets some 38 years ago now, but playing on replica instruments. This is his first foray into playing on real instruments from the period in a group. I also wanted to form a group that took things very seriously in terms of producing quality music, but not in terms of engaging with our audience. Unless we're asked specifically not to for maybe a formal event, we always perform in Victorian costume. We perform music of the era, but that's been specifically arranged for the group for the main part. A lot of Mendelssohn's music, a lot of music by Prince Albert, of course, Queen Victoria's husband, which is wonderful music, was never intended for brass instruments, but works beautifully because it was often intended for keyboard or for vocal ensembles. It works beautifully on brass instruments. So we have Robert Van Ryn, who's in the group, and a colleague of mine, Alan Gout, who has tirelessly arranged fun music that would have been heard at the time that we can play on our instruments, and also in doing so arrange them in a way where we can really show off the instruments that we're playing on.
So was this a group that recently formed together? How long ago did Queen Victoria's form?
We formed in 2016. Okay. And it was a slightly, like with any of these things, it's a slightly sort of slow start because you find your way in the world. There are sort of two other established ensembles just in the UK doing something similar. But our unique selling point, if you want to call it that, although it's just a unique point in my opinion, is that we have this amazing collection of instruments between us and through my collection. That's almost an in-house collection, that if you've seen something on the website that you think, wow, I've never seen a siderophone before, the likelihood is that at one of our concerts or in one of our recordings, you're going to hear that as well. We want to do that. So after a little while of sort of figuring our direction out, we really, I think we were really busy from about 4 years ago in public engagements for museums. The wonderful London Transport Museum have events that are attended by thousands of people that we've played for. So engaging with the public, not necessarily sitting in a studio and recording another version of the Avald on historical instruments is the direction that we really wanted to go in, and that's what we've been lucky enough to do.
Yeah. Can you maybe give us a rundown of maybe get kind of your most common configuration of what kind of instruments you guys use?
Sure. So normally we go out with two cornets, a horn, a trombone, and a tuba or an ophicleide. Most commonly, let's say ophicleide. Two reasons for that. One is that the sound blend of those 4 or 5 instruments, depending on whether we have 1 or 2 cornets on, just works really, really well. And okay, not historically correct, but we've even played up to sort of some early marches like maybe Colonel Bogey or Liberty Bell using ophicleide on the bass part, and it sounds fine. If we're doing a concert maybe at a public event, the ophicleide just immediately grabs people's attention, and then definitely. Once their attention's grabbed, we can talk to them about what we love. They just want to know more, but if it requires it, we'll go out with tuba or contrabass sax horn. We then will change to cornet down to through family of sax horns, if that's the music that we're working on. And I have a set of Adolf sax horns that I've been very, very lucky to put together, 7 instruments and then an 8th that's owned by Jeremy West. Cornet, contralto, upright sax horn, alto, another alto that Jeremy owns, a baritone sax tromba, an E flat contrabass, and a B flat contrabass. And that's the big dream, is to now get this family set into a recording. It's been slightly put off by COVID. But within the set of instruments that we use, what we found is that certain instruments of that type work best for certain pieces of music. So maybe for certain pieces of music, we'll feature the valve trombone, or certain pieces of music. Robert plays the Arban cornet variations, the cornet polka variations, as his sort of party piece with the group. And one particular Stelzel valve cornet that he owns just works for him for that rep better. So it's there on the side, and if we play that piece, up it comes. We try to be accurate to the period of music that we're playing, and then we also try to be accurate to the instrument that most suits the sound world that we're playing in, because, as I said previously, we're not having to be accurate to what's written on a score. That allows us to experiment and say, okay, well, we'd love to use a contrabass sax horn in this piece. Is it going to work better than the ophicleide? And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't, and we don't have to hold to that.